Okay, well today we're going to start tapping into the team builder. We're going to talk about this transition from the worker into the team builder. And then hopefully we're going to be able to step, so the team builder is actually the second part of last week's session, but then this session is all on the manager. These two are the ones that we really want to drill into and want to spend a lot of time on, okay, because it's where you are right now. It's where you are. As far as that leader level, that's where you're going to be in the future. We're definitely going to be talking about that, but where we're wanting to hammer into is this team builder and this manager level. So we'll get into this today and probably spend a little time in the next session talking about it. Fair enough? So we're going to start back on page 5, which is the confident team builder from last week.
I gotta go get my page 5.
Okay, yeah, got to get page 5. Very good. And let's see. Yeah, so again, we've got the worker mindset is thinking if you want it done right, you got to do it yourself. All right, which again, very, very common. Very, very common. It's where we all begin, hopefully. You know, people, if you want it done right, get your mom to do it type of thing. You know, that's kind of this sucking consumer type of thing. But the confident worker is, I can actually get in and I can actually do it. Now, one of the huge differences and one of the shifts in our mindset is from worker to team builder when we're saying if you want it done right, find other people to do it with you. So say the word with you.
With me.
All right, so that's the key thing. It's not just give it to other people to do, it's find people to do it with you. Okay, that's the key thing. So what team builders do, the primary focus in a team builder, Ashley, is to create a positive environment, a positive atmosphere. This is what team builders do. I'm sure you guys can think of people probably pretty quick that if they called you right now and said, hey, would you come and do this with me, you would probably drop whatever you had and say, sure, I'm going to come and do it. Okay? As opposed to other people would say, hey, will you come and do this with me? You're going, nah, not so much. So the people that have been able to create the relationship, have been able to create the positive atmosphere that draws you toward them, this is a mindset and this is the ability of a team builder. Not everyone is great at this, okay? Not everybody has this strong personality. It doesn't mean that if you don't have this type of personality, you'll never be able to be a team builder, okay? Doesn't mean that. But it's something that you're probably going to have to work at a little bit more than somebody else who just has that natural, hey, charisma and all that kind of stuff, all right? So you want to be careful that you don't just toss this into, well, it's just not who I am. Well, unfortunately, if it's not who you are, then you're going to be stuck at this level all the time. And you're going to work yourself crazy, all right? So as we can see here, again, able to see the problem and uses teams to solve the problem. How can we do this together? But of course, if we're not careful, Amanda, I can be over here sitting and thinking about using the team. Oh, here's how we can solve it together. It's going to be great. And I spend all weekend coming up with all this thing. Here's how we're going to do it together. And I come in and I go, hey, we're going to do this together. And everybody looks at me and go, why would we want to do that with you, Amanda? We don't enjoy you. We don't like you. We don't have a relationship. We don't know you. We've been offended by you. Does that make sense? So even though you had this great idea of doing team, you have not created that positive atmosphere. Have not created that atmosphere or the culture around you that allows people to connect with you. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. Okay, humans that are able to create that versus humans that are not able. What would be some of the characteristics? You may want to write these down. I don't have a space here. But you may want to write these down of characteristics of people that are not, or let's do the positive thing. People that are able to create a positive environment. What kind of characteristics are in this person?
Someone who compliments you a lot.
Compliment? Good. What does that mean when you compliment people? What does that say to the other person?
It's motivating them. They're paying attention.
They're paying attention. They notice. What else? Dive into that a little bit. When someone compliments you,
They care about you.
they care, they appreciate. And these are things, these are just natural wiring that is in every human being. To be noticed, to be cared for, to be appreciated.
Absolutely.
You can't, in a healthy way, shut that off. Everybody wants it.
Yeah.
However, I'm sure there's a bunch of humans out there that say, I don't need people to say that. Well, this is coming from a person who has never had it, and they're in protective mode. So they keep saying, I don't have to have it. It's like, well, then you're a robot, okay? Every human being needs, it's like this innate thing of people notice me, people care about me, people appreciate me. You just can't get away from it. So if, as a worker, I can begin to look around and recognize other workers and actually say something to them, then all of a sudden I'm beginning to get on the path toward team building. Okay, what's another characteristic of a person that builds teams?
Proud.
Say it again.
You let people know that you're proud of them.
Okay, not only I notice it, but hey, that's cool that you're proud of them. Again, I think that feeds into a natural, innate characteristic in every single human being. You know, a lot of times I've heard this a lot from immature leaders that are in management mode, okay? Well, I don't want anybody to get the big head. I don't want to compliment them too much, because if I do, they'll go get in the big head. So I'm never gonna compliment. Guys, I even used to have this mindset. You know? I was surrounded by people that had this mindset that, oh yeah, they were doing a good job, but you don't want to tell them. Because if you tell them, they'll stop. You know? That can be dangerous. You need to tell them, you need to encourage them along the way. Good job, good job, good job. Because when you begin to focus on the characteristics or focus on the results, what you focus on will grow. As opposed to if you don't tell people, great job, great job, great job, then they'll just think, okay, no big deal, and they'll kind of move off into something else. And then what you'll fall into the trap of, Ashley, is what I used to fall into the trap of all the time is the only time that I'm really spending time and really talking to you is when you're messing up. It's really the only time I get attention is when I'm messing up. And you take that over into psychological world, and you have a whole bunch of kids. I mean, for instance, being a school teacher for 15 years, you'd have a whole bunch of kids that would act the fool simply because that got them the attention. They were so starved for attention. Any way I can get it, I'm going to get it. And if I need to do, all this stuff in class to get the attention, I'm going to do it. And so as a teacher, trying to filter through, okay, what does this student need right now? Do they need, boundaries, or do they need attention? But again, I used to be one of those leaders that would say, okay, that person really needs attention. They're just screaming. They're just crying out for attention. So I'm not going to give it to them. What's that? But that's, I used to think in my head, I would think that it's healthy for me not to give it to them. I'm not going to let them manipulate me. As opposed to being able to really come in and encourage them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually did that with my niece this weekend. I was taking her home Monday after work. She stayed with me from Thursday night to Monday night. And on the way home, her attitude was so much better this last week than the last time I had her for a week. She was horrible. It was like, oh my gosh, I just want to strangle her. The
Devil
whole time-
spawn.
The whole time she was with me, it was miserable.
Yeah.
This whole last week, she had gotten in trouble a week before that for misbehaving, for her attitude. The whole time she was with me, she's a little girl, so of course she had like the back talk and stuff like that. But she was so good.
Wow.
She was in such a positive mood. So that on the way home, I was like, man, Alina, I'm really proud of you for how well you behaved this weekend. Your attitude was really good. And I just saw her energy rise, and she was like, oh, mommy's going to be happy. I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
We got there, and she was just like super energized. She was running around the
That's
house,
fantastic.
playing.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Let's do a couple more characteristics of a person that you know of, or times when you've done it. But again, I don't think this is rocket science, okay? It's like, man, it's a mystery. How do they do it? It's not. What are some of these characteristics that people have that draw people to them, that are able to create this positive environment no matter where they go? What are a couple other characteristics?
They're normally like in a good mood or like smiling. They have a good they just
Okay.
glow.
They're positive and optimistic. Very good. Do you think they just are automatically that way? They never have to make a choice?
Yeah.
No.
Not 90% 90% of us.
Yeah. Most of the time, they are having to make the choice to do that. And if you ask somebody who's always like that, how come, oh, it's just how I am, they're probably lying to you, or they have not had the realization yet of, no, I'm actually doing positive things. Because that can be true. A lot of people are that way a lot. You ask them, how do you do it? I don't know, I think I'm just born this way. It's like, no, there's got to be, because if you're just born that way, then it's easy enough for me to go, well, I guess I'm not born that way.
Yeah.
So I'm never going to be able to do that. The chances are very good that this person has something that's fairly consistent in their life that allows them to keep that energy going. So what is that thing? How do they do that? So good. So we've got this positive attitude, this optimistic attitude, as opposed to obviously the other side, a negative person who is pessimistic. It's kind of hard to spend a whole lot of time with them. Hey, come and be on my team. Sweet, you chose me. It's going to be interesting. To kind of read that.